Hello,
Hello. We are in can season.
but not in can.
Right. Really? Doesn't. Yes, no, we are terra firma, right?
um, so that's what we wanted to talk about because Casey claims she's somehow avoiding it, but my LinkedIn has rose and Aperol spritz vomited all over it. It is
Was
like
it?
firmly in
Hmm.
can, my LinkedIn feed. And it's kind of hard to avoid. And it's just interesting watching the takeaways and the creator panels and who is speaking and what they're saying, and
Oh, yeah.
it's interesting to watch it from this vantage point.
Well, I want to actually say, I believe, and we're going to dig into this, but I believe there's this veil outside and inside. And from the outside, I believe we all feel like we have maybe an edge to us, or like we're breathing oxygen out here. And I think as soon as you go into it, you might be thinking you're going to bring the outside view with you. And I think you get sucked in. I think
Help,
you
help me
start drinking the
understand this
rosé.
metaphor
You start drinking the
more.
rosé. It starts feeling like can is the end all be all definitive
Gotcha.
word
Okay.
on all of this. And we're a little bit removed going, and you have some topics, right, that have come
Yeah.
out of
So
the
this all started
summit.
because there was so later the influencer marketing company and platform has some kind of something big presence there. I don't think it's a yacht. I think they have some kind of place
Pavilion
set
or
up and
stage
they're
or
having panels. And so they're posting daily takeaways from it. And they posted the day 2 one yesterday, and um the actual like nitty gritty of what was discussed at their panels sounded interesting and fine, but the takeaways that they published like really got me feeling some kind of way. I'm like talking like Love Island now because I'm spending so much of my life watching.
if only we could. We need a graphic designer or somebody to like decorate our frames here, or the webs, like the visuals for this, like in Love Island themes,
Yeah.
or do a Love Island themed show every once in a while. But
So their takeaways got me feeling some kind of way, and I don't fuck with them. That's how they would say it on Love Island. So I will read
give us
those.
the like before
Yeah, let
after, or
me.
like the
Okay.
topic that seemed like legit to begin with, and then the takeaways where they lost you.
So they kind of recapped the three big panels that they had. Oh, it's a later lounge that they have. So they kind of recapped the three panels, which again sounded fine and interesting, like how content partnerships are evolving and what creators need from platforms now, which I think is a helpful conversation to have.
Hmm.
How creator content is reshaping paid media beyond the feed, which we've talked about before. I think we're both in alignment that that is happening and is a good thing.
Yeah.
And then the third one was an unpacking of what it takes to turn TikTok into a true performance channel, which
Mm.
you and I have had conversations about performance, and it's a thing and it happens and certainly can be done on
Out there.
TikTok, but I mean, to me, it's a single panel, and it's something that's interesting to talk about as a panel. But this is where we get to what got me feeling some kind of way. The top takeaways they posted: creator content is now full funnel.
Now,
Okay,
and I said, what does now mean? Because
now, well, I've been doing full funnel.
two
We've
decades? I mean,
yeah.
yeah, right.
Authenticity beats overproduced every time. Um,
Okay.
duh.
Which hits
duh.
me in the feels for a different reason than you. But like, yeah, Dadoy,
And
right?
then this is the one that got me spinning out. Business impact matters more than vanity metrics. And so that's the, let me, like, we can work backwards. So where that one got me crazy is this put in the context of what they were saying about performance, saying that business impact matters more than vanity metrics seems to me an implication that the business impact is is sales and conversion and bottom funnel. And that is what matters more than anything else. And it seemed to me that they are taking middle funnel and top of funnel and relegating them to this derogatory bucket called vanity metrics. And we have talked about this ad nauseum, like once again, making this crazy assumption that just because you can measure bottom of funnel and just because influencer marketing can occasionally drive conversion, that there's no need anymore for top and middle of funnel, and suddenly awareness doesn't matter and engagement doesn't matter, and we're just going to call that a vanity metric now.
And let me add to what you just said. You can measure the whole funnel. What they're talking about, or what you just said, is the measurement in dollars is only what suddenly matters. And now we're calling everything. By the way, vanity metrics is a very dated, I mean, I love it because it's fun to throw around and sort of create a line in the sand by using it. But we've been using that term again for
But to
16
me,
years.
vanity, so like my definition, like, yes, we've been using that term and I associate it with, like, remember when we used to like report on Twitter impressions and it was all based on followers and it was like basically potential impressions and had no basis in reality? Like, that's a vanity metric. Or like
Right.
a PR agency taking actual impressions and multiplying them by 3 because magazines get passed around in doctors'
just the-
offices.
Yeah, just an earned media value is a baseline vanity metric.
Right.
Because
but
how
like
many people
actual
read that?
impressions, actual views, like
Well,
shares,
we could go further
saves.
though and say an influencer's Instagram following is a vanity metric. Their engagement rate is a vanity metric because, as we've talked about, your engagement rate this morning might look different as soon as you post this afternoon, and it might change next week when the algorithm screws you over or whatever. So we could say vanity metrics hide in a lot of places.
Right.
And what I wanted to go further is I don't mind the idea of business impact being important
Totally.
as long as it's not only that bottom line, because attribution is a nightmare. Nobody's solved it.
And
Nobody
you are
thinks-
not going to get that bottom line if people don't know who you are or know
Oh.
anything about you.
For sure. And a hard line cost savings is when you are a better known brand in your vertical, your cost of advertising goes down, your cost of client acquisition or customer acquisition goes down, which aren't, again, bottom line conversion. We sold this many hotel rooms, but travelers know our name brand because we've done a hospitality campaign with influencers, and they're so, and I don't want to use actual brand names, but we're outranking now the big names because we've done that. So they're showing up easier when we do send out discount codes in our paid advertising, or when we do land in their inboxes. All of that that's business impact. That's not a conversion metric.
Right.
And then actually employee retention and employee satisfaction inside of a brand who's well regarded and who we know that we've done influencer campaigns where we package the results and actual customer testimonials, within the engagement and the comments, we package that back so our client can share it with their production line people who never see the impact of marketing. Like, they're really not, they're siloed, and they're so thrilled. And and all of a sudden we're not measuring this per se, but their confidence and their advocacy for their feeling of pride in their work, all of that can skyrocket because you've done a good job of showing them what consumers think about your brand.
Well, and like, I'm just thinking of this today because I was reading the New York Times this morning, and as I think most of us have heard, Jill Smokler from Scary Mommy passed away this week.
I did not hear that. Wow.
Of brain cancer. And there have been all these obituaries. And this morning I was reading in the New York Times, and they had a nice obituary about her. And there was a picture of her from 2010 speaking at one of our conferences at Bloggy Boot Camp. And so it's making me think, you mentioned like that whole attribution thing. One of our sponsors, I was not working with Francesca and Tiffany, who founded Bloggy Bootcamp back in. I started working with them in 2011, and that photo is from 2010. But I still feel ownership because we did Bloggy Bootcamp together for a number of years after that. But one of the sponsors that we had for many, many years for Bloggy Bootcamp was Mira Sue Wine, and we stopped doing Bloggy Bootcamp in the mid teens. I think we did our last one around 2015, 2016 or so. I think the last time Mirasu sponsored was maybe 2013. So we're talking a long time ago. And so they would sponsor this 1 or 2 day conference, and then David Mirasu would speak about the wine and talk about it, and there'd be wine tastings. Tiffany still gets texts to this day, 13 years later, from women walking in a supermarket, and they take a picture of themselves with the Mirasu wine and send it to her and tell her that they tasted that wine or heard about that wine 13, 15 years ago at a Bloggy boot camp, and they still grab it when they walk through a supermarket and see it because of that. Like, there's no attribution.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. This touches on something, it's a separate rabbit hole. I won't take us too far down, but these days, I saw somebody reaching out to the community on LinkedIn and asking for AI-powered influencer discovery tools. And so, RIP her inbox because she's going to get flooded with pitches.
Yeah.
And it got me to thinking about how we have taken one of the most enjoyable and formative parts of influencer marketing, which is that discovery, and made it, we've carved it out, and now AI handles it. And we think that that's good. The rest of it is the hard part. So all we've really left is the hard part, the negotiation, the combing through those particular influencers' content. Back when you're talking about all of this, we used to go read a blog, look at the comments, find other voices in those comments, see how the blogger in question handled those comments, get an idea of the flavor of the personality. As I was thinking about this, we were visiting their digital neighborhoods, right? We were like getting to know them. And what you did and we did with Eat Right Retreat is became an extension of that community building. And today's influencer marketers who haven't experienced that and haven't been expected to immerse themselves, I think are totally missing the boat. And one of the outcomes is, to tie it all back, it's dollar signs. And it's how can we prove our worth? Because you can't necessarily look at community building for that long-term downstream impact that it carries.
And I think that brings us, like, before we hit record on this, we were just talking about kind of like the flashiness of Cannes and like how sexy it looks, and drinking the rosé and all of that stuff. And
seen there,
right. And like, I'm just looking at the creators who are there, and it's awesome that they have the opportunity to do that. But most of them are huge. And I think about some of and we have clients who work with very large influencers, and there's a time and a place for that. But then I think about some of the clients who have very specific needs, like they need to talk about a pharmaceutical for a very specific lung condition that, like, there might not be a big influencer who has that, or there's a store opening in a certain zip code, or I don't know, like there are so many influencer marketing needs that, like,
that doesn't represent them all.
Right.
It doesn't adequately represent them. So let me ask you sort of a qualifying question then around this. Have you ever had the experience where you have a list or designated influencer recommendations for a client, and you've got all their metrics, the engagement rate, their followers, the demographics of their followers, location, etc., all the numbers. But you also have a column, a field for this influencer absolutely loves your brand. This influencer told us this story about it, or we saw this post at this influencer. Do you ever add that in?
We always do. So when we present our influencers, we usually use the Creator IQ one sheet format, and there's like a little section above all of those numbers and the sample posts and all of that, there's a little section where you can put in a bio or any comments. And we often add stuff like that in. And sometimes it's, like this influencer has fewer followers than we had planned for this campaign, but we think she's an amazing fit because X. Or
and here's why.
Why. Right. Yeah, we always try to give that context if it's not,
but
especially if it's not obvious.
Decisions around influencer budget, and they're called influencers because it's word of mouth, it's powerful, it's social proof. Decisions are emotionally based. So maybe all metrics that can't measure that, which none of them can, should be called vanity metrics.
Sure.
But really and the other piece of our pregame before getting on was talking about the flash and the sizzle of Cannes, but those topics that you read, the second one in particular.
Let me go back to it.
I feel like the second one hit me.
Authenticity beats overproduced every time.
Bullshit. I'm sorry. It depends. Like you said, there's one case, one scenario where that's true. And we have lots of clients who want exactly what they want out of the content. They don't, authentic is the buzzword.
I'm laughing because I feel like my response to that was, duh, we knew that forever ago. So it's really interesting to me to hear you say that sometimes So here's my question to you. Is overproduced what the clients want? And so we're just making them happy, which we have all done over and over again. Or are you saying that sometimes overproduced is what is needed for a particular brand and that actually performs better than authentic for certain categories?
I think there's a couple of buzzwords in there that we need to define, but again, there's no one size fits all. So what performs well in the cases that I'm thinking of, it's not whether or not the content is overproduced, it's whether it can get approved, right? That's the content that performs well. It's the content that can go live. So that's number one. What was the second part of your question? Overproduced looks different. So overproduced, I think we're talking about like back in the days of when we were doing a lot of food blogger, it was food porn and it was this gorgeous, editorialized lifestyle of aspirational. And we quickly learned people on Pinterest don't gravitate.
Yeah.
They want a bite out of the cookie. So overproduced is it like, hold on.
As we totally parse this one sentence though, I think I want to point out something I didn't realize at first, which is that authentic and overproduced are not actually the
opposites.
The opposites.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Exactly. So those are buzzwords, and authentic has lost all meaning.
Like you can overproduce something that's authentic.
Some of the
I think it's authentic versus like fake and polished. Like there's just
I think
different
aspirational. I think overproduced could be like production values. I think they're thinking production
but
values.
Like overproduced implies that it just is shitty. Like overproduced indicates that you went too far. Like there's a world of highly polished content that is not necessarily overproduced. It's just what's needed for the moment. We haven't gone too far over, but it might not be like, and to me, it's like a lo-fi versus polished. That's one.
Highly polished, aspirational, beautiful, produced content can still miss the mark. I hosted a session with a client, like a video educational session about what videos do better than others. And she pointed out all the hair care brands, their aesthetic looks the same. So if you don't see the actual name of the hair care brand and you just see the aesthetic, there's no way of saying that's, Biolage or that's Weedad or whatever the names are. So overproduced or highly polished is just a bucket. It's just a bucket. So yeah, to marry it against authentic, sure, but what's authentic then?
Well, and you can have an authentic story that is highly polished.
Like you said a couple weeks ago, those premium lifestyle luxury influencers, are going to do everything in a highly polished manner because that's what they've built and what their
Right.
audience craves. And why would you work with them if that's not what you want? Or, and ask them to do like a day in the life or raw, unedited footage. Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So there's a lot, and there's a lot of talk going on, it seems like, coming out of Cannes, and this has been going on for years since they discovered the creator economy and decided to get on board, which, PS, I believe, and I told you this before we jumped on, that Cannes is a lagging indicator for our industry. They are
Yeah.
not creative and pioneering and innovative. They are simply capturing a little bit late the news and celebrating it amongst themselves. And that's fine. I mean, I think that's what awards do in general, is capture what's already happened. But where was I going before this? I sort of lost my train of thought about polished versus authentic versus, I know I'll get back there. I had a
Yeah.
really
I mean,
good
I think
point.
it's the whole lagging thing is really interesting. And I think I guess my takeaway is I feel like in seeing everything that's coming out of the conference and the panels this year, I just keep feeling like, man, I wish I was there to have some of these discussions, to have some of these debates, to bring some of that like real talk into this, and to kind of chisel away at some of these just like pithy statements that are like floating out from the south of France and like shimmering down upon us. Because I think
Bestowed
like
upon
clearly
us.
it is like, it's obviously a huge platform for the industry, and a place where like statements are made and like budgets are getting decided. And it just, I would like to see some like reality and
Infused
like
into it.
just like devil's advocate stuff. And like, I feel like there's some other voices needed there. And so I am volunteering as tribute to go to the south of France next year, is what I'm saying.
Yay. Okay. And I go back to my earlier, I think there's this veil and you'd like to pierce it.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody there is interested in that. I don't think that's why they get
I am
together.
coming in with my
I think that
piercing
guns
needle.
ablaze with your finger pointers, your finger guns. I think it's a
Not that.
curated experience
Yeah.
and again, I'm not against the experience. I want people to feel like know that it is what it is.
Yeah.
And there are deals being made. I think nobody has to buy a ticket or go to any of I think all the conversations that are worth having are just like
most
on the
of these
street
big conferences. Yeah, it's just sitting on the balconies and
letting the loose lip rosé experience happen.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, though, what I was leading up to before I jumped on the soapbox and then promptly tumbled off, was I'm understanding, and I'm 16 years in my own agency, and I'm really just understanding the depth of this, is how much influencer marketing needs to understand all the other marketing disciplines all the time, every time, so that when the question of, do we need raw content? Do we need lo-fi? Do we need highly polished? That decision cannot be made in a vacuum of influencer expertise. It has to be informed by brand DNA and what's happening in the cultural zeitgeist and budget and expectations. Like, so much needs to be balanced in there. So that's where I was going with that, is it's, as the industry matures, that's what I see the need as more and more, is opening up the lens to, and where I think we're doing our up and coming influencer market is a disservice, is it's becoming so focused. Whereas when you and I came into it, it was PR, it was earned media, it was brand management. There was a little more connective tissue between all those things. Now it's such a focused discipline. I think we've lost. I'm glad that it's gaining power. I would also like to see rigor around the training and that's a whole different topic. But
yeah.
And
we'll earmark
so,
that.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Well, this has been fun. What a lively conversation. Thanks for bringing it up.
Absolutely. And I guess we already have more to chat about next week.
Grab the notes from this, the transcript, and that and that and that. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.